Hey everyone, what's up? My name is Blue, and relegations for both the PML and PCL for both regions, all consoles, whatever it may be, they're done, they're over, complete, finished. We know who is going to be the two teams that round out the rest of the division. Remember, there's 4 teams in each division, both PML, NA, PML, EU. There's 4 teams in each division for PCL, Xbox EU, Xbox NA, PS4 EU, PS4 NA as well. And the bottom 2 teams that did the worst in their division at the end of the first phase of our season had to go through relegations against any teams that made it out of open bracket. So the top 2 teams from open bracket make it into a group stage where they play each other one time for a round robin format, and the 2 top teams with the best record, pretty much you go 3-0, you go 2-1, you're pretty much gonna make it into the league. So yeah, let's get right into it and break down who made it. Now remember, in our last video I discussed who I thought was going to make it out of the 4 teams in each category. So let's start off with the PML, the Paladins Minor League European bracket. We had All Business One Trick Pony make it into the PML. Now the 2 teams that were in the PML to begin with were All Business and Blazing Hussars. Contact Noir and One Trick Pony made it through the open bracket. Here's the thing about One Trick Pony though, and this was the biggest concern I had for Blazing Hussars. They have Comiker, they had Ineffable, and Nalubka. Those were the 3 like primary players for this team, but they lost a lot of their players to One Trick Pony. Most notably Surret's, Defit, and Toot Toot. And Toot Toot, we saw him play that Torvald in the open bracket games, and he was just lighting it up. For some reason, he was able to play Torvald for a couple games, so some people not opting to ban or first pick that against them, they were able to snatch that away. Stop Me, also another great player on this team, and then I think their carry player at this moment has to be Uber Spady. He was playing Drogos and just dropping these missiles on people, these rockets, whatever you want to call them. Nobody was really able to stop him, and that's the thing I noticed, that there was a couple other teams that kept being as successful with Drogos as well. Now Drogos is a very good pick, very good champion right now, but I don't think he's at that hyper carry potential that was being displayed during that open bracket. I think it's kind of, you know, I get called a console pleb when I say this, but I think it's kind of like that PC ego thing. A lot of people don't want to pick Victor. They don't want to pick Vivian because, you know, that's easy. That's that console meta, blah, 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 blah. There were a few teams, especially in PML NA, and we'll get into that were picking Vivian a lot today in relegations. But, you know, they have these Cassies, they have these EVs, and yes, those are great champions. But when you have a Cassie and an EV as your only 2 DPS up against Drogos, you know, it's very difficult for that Cassie to be able to take him out of the sky, especially running worm jets, being able to know how to line of sight that Cassie as well. And then you have an Eevee. I mean, and even really good EVs have a tough time trying to take out Drogos' mid-air with the blast damage type AoE that Eevee brings to the table. So, you know, pick a Victor, pick a Vivian, pick a Leon. Even we saw a few Leons on PC, not as much as we should have against Drogos, but One Trick Pony displaying that they are very, very top notch. And All Business also made it in. They have the same lineup pretty much. They have William Burkham, they have Clozar, Nost or Zenost, however you say his name. Coriel, and Unbelievable is a sub now because your boy Bugsy is back, and in the last video I said if Bugsy comes back, this team I think could make it back into the league. They're better than Contact Noir even without Bugsy. Without Bugsy, they might have some trouble up against One Trick Pony. Now eventually they didn't actually have to play each other. They would have played each other in the 3rd round of the round robin format, but they didn't have to. There were server issues, some problems with the servers and stuff like that, so they eventually didn't play, and that's okay because they were both 2-0 at that point. One Trick Pony had beaten Contact Noir as well as All Business in the first round, and One Trick Pony really setting the table, beating Blazing Hussars in that first round. After they did that, you know, going up against Contact Noir, you beat them in the finals, so you know that you can beat them. You know, maybe Contact wasn't really giving it their all because it didn't really matter who came out in first place in the open bracket. Both of you still made the group stage, but you know, the same time, you're saying, hey, we're better players. 3 of us have been in the PML for phase 1 with Blazing. We can beat this Contact Noir team. They're really good. They were able to make a comeback in the semifinals of the open bracket as well after being down 2-0. But, we're better than them. So we need to beat Blazing Hussars. And if we beat them, I think we have a really good chance. If you don't beat them, then you have to beat All Business. Unfortunately, they didn't have to. All Business, One Trick Pony, both 2-0. Didn't have to play each other with the server lags and stuff like that. And no matter the results, one of them would have been 3-0, one of them would have been 2-1. Their counterparts, Blazing Hussars, Contact Noir, whoever wins that, one's going to be 0-3, one's going to be 1-2. One Trick Pony and All Business making the league. Now, how well are they going to do in the league? I think All Business, they were there. They've done this as well with some of the players from OTP. So I think both teams may perform at a higher skill level with more preparation going into phase 2. But I still think Penta and Sour Team are the best 2 teams in that division. So good luck to them. Moving on, we have PML North America. And this one was a little gut crunching to me. I chose FCAA and Bork to make it into the for Bork to make it back into the PML, and Bork did make it back into the PML. They played extravagant. They were dominating. I mean, they did lose 1 to 5-Stack Esports. That was the first round. They lost 3-2, and that really set the tone for them. They said, okay, we need to bounce back. We need to finish these next 2, and we should 3-0 them so that we have map count in case someone else comes out 2-1 in this. Bork was able to beat Zenith 3-1. I think that's a big statement in themselves because, they were going back and forth with Zenith all season. Eventually, towards the end, they were the 3rd place team. So being able to reestablish yourselves and say, hey, Zenith, we're still better than you. I think that really makes a statement for them. And it says, hey, we're going to try and prevent you from getting back into the league as best we can because we want to be there. FCA lost to 5-Stack, and they were able to beat Zenith 3-0 in the first round. And when Zenith lost to Bork, that pretty much set it for Zenith. So Bork closed the door on Zenith's chance of getting back into the PCL pretty much. And FCAA losing that second round really brought it down to round 3 where they had to face Bork. And for both these teams, whoever won this would make the PCL eventually. 5-Stack, they just went 3-0. They went 2-1. How's that possible? It says they went 2-1. Okay, that has to be a typo. It says they beat Bork 3-2. They then went on to beat FCA 3-1, and then they won against Zenith 3-2. So I don't know what happened there. If 5-Stack Esports is 3-0, they potentially could be someone to look out for that 3rd place spot, maybe even 2nd place. Who knows? Depends if Hype and Sanguine stick together, or if they make some changes after MSI. It pretty much determines the landscape of the division, and we're gonna go into all of that after the MSI event. We're also gonna be diving a little more deeper into the MSI. I've actually got all the matchups ready to go. But Bork, they played exceptionally well. After that first round, they lost. That was a close one. I did catch a few of these games. Some of those were part of the ones that I caught. Those were some pretty intense games, pretty close. Eventually 5-Stack came out on top. But 5-Stack going 3-2 against Zenith kind of, at that point, maybe they said, who really cares? Zenith's not going to make the league. But you still want to finish strong. But who knows? Maybe Zenith was actually putting up a fight against them. I didn't watch any of those games, so who knows? But I was wrong. I thought Jab Jab and the boys at FCAA would be able to, surpass their woes against 5-Stack in the finals of the open bracket. They were playing for 8 to 9 hours that day, so I gave them the benefit of the doubt. But 5-Stack Esports, being led by the boys over there, Ice Monkey, Wake Up, Amadeus, but especially Amos and Tuga, really the foundation of that team. I've gotten to know them through their play the last couple weeks. So 5-Stack Esports could be a major contender here to look out for. Who knows? They could surprise us all. I thought Jab Jab and the boys were going to pull through. I'm a fan of Jab Jab, so a little bit of bias in that decision. But I also think the rest of the squad was good. I think with Bones and who else did they have? Stormtroopy, man. And they had Bagel Wow and Ancient. Now, Bagel Wow was on a different team in Opens, so he's a sub for this team. I thought Ancient, Jab Jab, and Bones, not so much, but Stormtrooper, you know, he's an ex-pro. Give him the benefit of the doubt. May not have been on the best team back then, but you know, he still have that experience. He's been in this situation, or even in more dire situations at this time. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. Unfortunately, it didn't. 5stack and Bork are your PML NA teams making it into phase 2. Moving on, we have PS4 EU. This one, big surprise to me. The reason why, okay, so in the back of my head, I said, you know, Ehrenmanner is a really good team compared to these other 3 teams. The problem is that at the time we did the last video where we talked about who I think is going to come in, Kingsman had a insane lineup. For those of you who don't know, they have Donka, they have Tito. Those guys were on the Cyclone roster for PS4 EU last season. They went 3-3, 99-99 up against Flashpoint a couple times. You know, they got 3-0, or they got 2-0 sometimes. Those were best of 3s in the PCL season 1. Those were best of 3s, so you know, 2-0s don't really tell the whole story. Those were close games. I think the one game was about 32 minutes long, so intense games. They had some really good players on Kingsman. They also have Falade. Falade, you know, he posted on Twitter, "Oh, I missed the PCL for the 3rd time." That's not exactly true. Yeah, you did miss the PCL inaugural season with your original team, but you were actually a sub for Flashpoint and did get a couple games in the regular season where you got that Zin going. So, you know, you weren't playing Zin this time, you were playing support, and I think you're a better support than you are damage. But at the same time, you know, I feel for Falade. He's been grinding, he's been trying. You know, if your journey is over, that's your choice, but to me, I don't think it's over. Same with Tito and Donka. Now Stush Gaming, they told me that they are rumored to be, or there's been rumors that Stush Gaming has been telling people that they are going to be making roster changes, not during the relegations, which they didn't. They played with their same lineup they've been playing with all season. And they made it back into the league, and they dominated, dude. They went 3-0. They beat Arizona, which I think is a fluke that Arizona is here. Reason being is because I have never heard of 2TH or Heezy, XXSX1, June, or whatever this person's name is. Like, I've never heard of these people, but at the same time, it could have been because they signed Tariq up as a player for them, and you can't do that. Tariq is roster locked to a top 2 team in his division in Aerial Rise, so they don't have to go through relegations. He's locked, and a lot of people didn't believe that locking these teams was a good idea, 5-man locking even, and I said, yes, this is a great idea, because, you know, people, I use the example for Emit Pain from Elevate, but this is a perfect scenario of the example I was given. Tariq could leave his team, join a relegation team, boost them into the league, and then rejoin his original team back. So it doesn't really show the potential of a team coming through relegations if they're getting carried by someone who's on a top 2 team. And I use the example where Payne could come in and do that. So Arizona, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know if they signed up to, I don't know if they submitted their roster with Tariq on it without him knowing, or if Tariq knew that he was going to be on that roster. Either way, you have to know these rules. You have to know that's not allowed. So it was clearly stated that if Tariq is found playing, this team's getting forfeits. They're getting disqualified. Now, he didn't end up playing, which is good. I don't think so. I don't think they had to forfeit. But Kingsman actually losing their first round to Stush, and this was huge because Stush set the precedent. And we're going to go back to Ehrenmanner here in a second, but Stush just dominating with their same lineup they've been using all season. They did have to make a substitution 2 separate weeks when those players were on vacation or something like that. So, you know, it's not like those players quit or anything. They were right back in the lineup the following week, or, you know, when they were home, back from vacation, whatever it may be. Stush Gaming, we said it time after time after time. I legitimately think this is a top 8 team in the PCL league wide. I just think that they're in the toughest, or the tightest competing division at the time. And then we have Ehrenmanner. The reason why I preached about Kingsman, their lineup, Donka, Falade, Tito, whatever it may be. They also have Itek, who came back. He used to be a top player. I think he was the biggest bust of the 2018 PCL, but he's had all this time to kind of work on himself, you know, improve his mechanical skills and his game sense as well. So hopefully his game has improved. Unfortunately, it doesn't really show that. They did have to play with a substitution or something. I didn't really catch that. But Ehrenmanner, The reason why I said Kingsman was going to make it, for the second reason, not only is that a good lineup, but two, Ehrenmanner was playing at the time with only 3 people in the roster. They only had Ernest, Vclax, and VCon confirmed that they were going to be playing. They lost 2 players. So eventually King Nick came back as their DPS, so he's back. And then they were able to go out and they got It's Axiom. Now they did have 2 subs in Protag's Ego. I think that's Protagonist. He was a pretty decent DPS in the past times that he has showed up and played. He didn't play today. Hasn't been really, seen on a top team as of recently. But the second sub is the one that gets me. Dude, that's Birch. And I think that's huge because I heard some rumors that Birch wanted to come back. For those of you who don't know, Birch was actually on a top 2 team in PS4 EU back during Valencia qualifiers, and he was teamed with Smutney at the time. Birch was playing frontline. Smutney was the support on this PS4 EU team, and Legacy was one of their DPS players. So right there, those 3 players, you still have 2 of those on the top team. You have Smutney on Cyclone right now. They're going to MSI. You have Legacy on Flashpoint. He went from sub to MVP in one weekend, 39-0. We all know the stories. Smutney, he's played on PC. He's been to LAN on PC. He's been to LAN, and now he's going to LAN on console. Top 2 players. So, Birch coming back into this league, that could potentially bring up another up-and-coming team, or maybe he could join another top team. So that's just another name to throw in there. Maybe he doesn't really want to come back. Who knows? He was listed as a sub. But at the same time, maybe he was listed as a sub because he's not ready to implement himself into a starting role after missing out of the not being in the scene for so long. So who knows? But Ehrenmanner with King Nick, Vclax, Ernest, VCon, and It's Axiom, who did have a decent week, week 13. I think that was the only time they played in the PCL, but that I recall. But they did okay. They just played Anar most of the time, died a lot, but it was their first time in the PCL. A little bit more experience. Hopefully they stick with the squad. Now, every roster that played in qualifiers this group stage and made it into the PCL, like Ehrenmanner, Stush, All Business, and One Trick Pony, those teams have to play with those rosters in week 1 of phase 2, which is technically week 14, but we're not going to get into the technicalities of that. They have to play with those rosters. It's the qualifying roster locks. Week 2, or when week 1's over, so right when week 2 technically starts, before the games, whatever, you have roster unlocks. People can make changes. I don't agree with the way the system is, but it's just the way it is. Qualifying roster locks, I think that's fair. You can't boost someone into the league and then drop the whole squad 10 minutes after you're done playing the qualifying games, but whatever. Ehrenmanner, Stush coming back into the PCL. So that's I think this is the only region that had a full the 2 teams that were in phase 1 made it back into phase 2. So hopefully a team picks up some people from Kingsman. I mean, Tito, he's a fragger. Donka, just insane fragger as well. 2 DPS players. IT's pretty good. Falade, really good support. For PS4 NA, let's talk PS4 North America here. This was surprising. I'm not, and not as surprising as I am making it out to be, because if you remember in the video, I said ZT, or Zero Tolerance, and Stremex, they have great rosters. But so does Low Key and Big Money. So it's kind of even here. Whoever really jumps at the gun on that first round really gets the advantage here. But bottom line is Zero Tolerance. They showed up, dude. They showed up. They went 3-0. They 3-0'd Big Money in the first round. That's huge. You're setting a precedent. It's not as huge. It's probably, just looking at it on paper, probably the worst team here without looking at rosters or anything like that. They did make some improvements. But then they come in the second round. They 3-1 Stremex. That's a huge statement because Stremex is hungry. They've been in this situation before, and they kind of got effed out of the PCL in the first qualifiers at the beginning of phase 1 due to the way they didn't quite understand. I mean, it was fair. It was fair. The way it's done is fair. But low-key scheming at the time, or Snake's Den at the time, which is pretty much low-key scheming. It kind of. They didn't understand the system, so they ended up messing up Stremex's chances. But Big Money were able to beat Low Key Scheming in the second round 3-2. Tight matches. But Low Key Scheming already 0-2 at this point. They go up against ZT, and At that point, it's over. Loki's not making it back into the league. They get 3-0 by ZT. So ZT just getting the free dub there to go 3-0. Stremex was able to beat Big Money in a close matchup, 3-2. I watched a few moments of these games. First of all, I didn't predict Stremex to make it into the league, okay? Because Solaire wasn't playing. Clearly their best player, in my opinion. He was playing, and I was like, wait a minute. I probably would have picked Stremex to make it into the league, you know, eventually with low-key scheming, I thought originally. If I knew Solaire was going to play, he told me he wasn't going to play for some personal reasons. He shows up, pops off on Stone Keep with Drogos, whatever. They made it into the league. Congratulations, 0 tolerance to Stremex. Now, Stremex, Mexican team, #1 to make it into the league, and I'll tell you why we're saying #1. We're going to get into that a little bit later. But 0 tolerance. Young squad making it in. That's Killed by Dayton, The Chosen, Modak, Blackout, FKA Johnny. They have On Bomb King as a sub. I think he needs to stay as a sub. VX Glad is listed as a sub this week. He was playing in the main roster last week, but they did bring in The Chosen, I'm guessing, for that. FKA Johnny, apparently this guy's playing pretty well as a flex 2, which means he's playing that off-tank position. We'll see how that goes when I check out some of his play. Blackout has been playing support for a long time, not as competitively, but, you know, he watches competitive, he watches PCL, he kind of understands from a watching point. Now it's time for him to display what he's learned, as well with everyone else. Modak still this, I'm going to use the Geppetto reference here. He is a ball of meat. He's a ball of meat, and he needs to be formed in, he's meatloaf, and he needs to be formed into some nice hamburgers, because from what I've seen in phase 1, he makes a lot of rookie mistakes. And that's his biggest problem right now. That's his biggest problem. So, whatever. But Dayton, captain of the team, done a lot of work. He had a big ego. He's kind of like humbled himself out. He's been grinding, whatever it may be. I think he's using gyro controls. He can confirm or not. So, you know, looking forward to 2 new teams in PS4 and A. And then Xbox EU. This one, little crazy going on here. We have Radiant Esports, NinjaX and Pyjama, French Toxicity, and Grohk Paper Scissors. First of all, I guess that Radiant Esports would make it back in. They didn't. So they had a new roster as well, kind of. They had Tapsy still. They had Fluxy on DPS. Killer G came back to play. Remember, he played for Team Viral in 2018. So he's back. He's playing support. Sibs, same thing. Played for Team Viral in 2018. He played for Team Viral during the phase 1 qualifiers. Then they got dropped after they didn't make it into the league. But Sibs came back playing flex. Hamish came back. Well, this team didn't make it in. Sibs, I think, hasn't played in a while, so, you know, he's a little rusty. Hamish is definitely rusty. Hasn't played since season 1. I don't think, you know, Sibs at least tried to qualify for this phase 1 of this season. I don't think Hamish did, so he's a little rusty. As well as Killer G, hasn't played since last season. And then you have Fluxy on DPS. I think Fluxy can play like Talus and Kinessa. And if you don't get Talus, Kinessa's a niche pick. I don't know how I feel about that. So that was interesting. NinjaX and Pyjama, though, does make it in. They had Ninja Zen, LZ Legends, Craft, Naiju, Hunter, and Twiz. Naiju's able to play on this team because he was listed as a sub for Prestige Worldwide. First of all, French Toxicity is replacing Prestige Worldwide. I don't know what happened there. I don't know why they're in. Whatever it may be, whatever the problem was, apparently they couldn't play. Okay, well, sign their team up and DQ them 3 times. Like, I don't know why. I mean, I'm happy French Toxicity, get to Pan in his squad, got to play, but obviously they were no match for this team. GPS, though, old Team Viral from this season, the ones that got dropped for, you know, essentially feeding it. You know, there was a lot of backstory to that. We're not getting into it. But anyways, GPS, only player left from that squad, though, is Slaya. And he brought in some ringers, it may seem. By the way, GPS stands for Grohk, Paper, Scissors. He brought in Spectre, a.k.a. A2, Sheik. So Sheik got dropped from Radiant, apparently, as the DPS. And now he's on GPS. And guess what? He's probably the one laughing here because he made it back into the league and Radiant didn't. And then they had Fine Ticks 1 up, and Killer Creed's their sub. So this is a lineup full of players that either lost a lot in the season or haven't been in the PCL at all. So it'll be interesting to see how they go up against Bust Down and Cyclone second time around with a newer lineup. This lineup on paper looks better right now than Viral did in the first half of the season, so we'll see how that does. But Radiant Esports not making it back in. Big blow, big blow. I thought they'd make it back in. I had Prestige Worldwide making it in too, but since they got replaced by French Toxicity, I don't have them good then. Sorry. Not up to par yet. Xbox NA. Eaststorm goes 3-0, dude. Second Mexican team. I told you, Stremex is Mexican number 1. Eaststorm's Mexican number 2. V8 Potts makes a return. He joins the lineup back. Struck users on DPS, counters on frontline. V8 Potts comes back. They have Dishonor and Undulant Games, and I said that Undulant Games was making a good job, but Dishonor's on support. He's listed as support, so Undulant Games not playing support. Maybe, you know, he's doing better in scrims on something else. Who knows? From what we've seen him play all season long. But Eaststorm makes it back into the league. They go 3-0, dude. They're able to take down Trolls 3-1 in the first round. Second round, they go up against Retaliation, who they beat way back in like week 2 of the season, and then lost the next 3 times they faced them. This time they 3-0 them. And then round 3, they go up against Wasted Potential, and they 3-1 them. But at that point, Wasted Potential's 2-0, Eaststorm's 2-0. It's just like PML EU. Who cares who loses? Who cares who wins? Matter of fact, Trolls and Retaliation faced each other in round 3. They didn't even play, I don't think, because it doesn't matter who wins. They're both 0-2. One of them is going to be 1-2. That's still not better than 3-0 or 2-1. Wasted Potential and Eaststorm make it in. Eaststorm makes it back in. Retaliation makes their way out of the PCL. And I'm not trying to be a dick here, but a lot of people are going to be happy about that. Mostly Elevate. They will probably get to play a full phase now, you know, wake up for no reason. But Retaliation did show up with a similar roster. They had My Dark C4, Island Shots, TSM Files showed up again. I think he only played one other week with them earlier this season. Didn't do so hot. Played a Damage Damba one game. Milk a Cat and Valid Goldfish. Tristy Loves BR was on the sub spot as well as Hungry Snipe, but we didn't see them at all. So everybody that was showed up for Retaliation actually played for them. Besides TSM File, a good amount of times this season for them. So they did come in with a roster they were familiar with, so a little bit of chemistry towards the end of the season, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. They lose to Wasted Potential, by the way, which is Jehovah's, Xpow, Bandmade, Pronto, Shala. So I'm looking forward to seeing how well they do. They did lose 3-1 to Eaststorm, but again, that match really didn't matter. Both teams already qualified for the PCL. So in the real PCL setting, let's see how well they do, and let's see if Eaststorm can keep this momentum going, even if they finish third behind Elevate and Cats on Mars. Who cares? Let's see. You know, get third place. But that's pretty much it for us. Yeah. So there's your teams that got relegated. And there's your teams that didn't get relegated. So overall, you know, two teams from Xbox overall made it back in with GPS and Eaststorm, Wasted Potential, and Ninja and Pyjama. Brand new teams into it. PS4 NA, 2 totally new teams coming in. For PS4 EU, same 2 teams coming back in. Hopefully Ehrenmanner can stick with it. I do believe V-Clax will be leaving. You know, who knows? He has to play week 1. All Business makes it back in. One Trick Pony makes it. For 3 of them, they make it back in, but whatever. You know, let me know what you guys think below. Give us a little comments. Drop below what you think. Who you think is going to do the best out of these teams that made it in, or who you think is going to do better that, you know, made it back into the PCL. Any teams that, you know, were in it in phase 1 and now are in it again. Are they going to do better than they did before? And the new teams, how do you think they'll fare in the PML and the PCL? Let us know below. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at ConsoleProNews. Check out the website consolecorner.co for all your Paladins needs, and we're going to be including other games pretty soon as well. I'm putting a lot of work on my plate here. My name is Blue. Don't forget to follow me as well at RealBlueTV. No E in Blue. Later.